it's actually going to create interesting tensions within companies, right? Because data scientists or this very specialized knowledge, and who are sort of on top of the world right now, will want to defend their turf, presumably, and maybe they will come sort of in the way of a analytic solution that would essentially do sort of 80% of their job, and enable people that don't have the background to do it. So it's going to be an interesting tension. I'm curious to see how that's going to evolve.
What I'm really curious about is, a huge part of what we do is cleansing the data and just sort of the data hygiene process, data hygienist. It's really hard. It's not clear. I'm not sure how you would automate that process. I truly have no idea how that would work. It's just such a case-by-case scenario. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Or how do you guys do the data cleaning? You mentioned Trevor as part of this whole part of it, which is data processing.
Yeah, so
right?
just to clarify, so everyone is on the same page contextually. The problem is that there is no guarantee that the data that you're getting is accurate, especially if you're using APIs for public consumption, and even private consumption APIs. Like if you're, for instance, real estate data, if you're just handed tons of spreadsheets, like who's to say that everything in there is accurate and sensible? Like, what if you get a building that has negative 3,000 square feet? Like that's an incredibly obvious one that's wrong, but sometimes there's things that are not so obvious. So in the social space, like we look at millions and hundreds of millions of events every day. What is wrong and what isn't? Like, is something getting 5,000 likes in a day right? Is it wrong? Like you have to understand the context. So ours, again, like you said, is a very specific use case, but cleansing data and understanding what is correct and incorrect about the data, it becomes a vastly more complex problem when you're dealing with, structured or unstructured data.
And our approach is when it comes to your corporate data, you all are experts in your corporate data, right? So you know what you stored, you know why you stored it, you know the repositories that have valuable data, you know the files that have valuable data. So that's really relying on the domain expertise of the internal folks in the company to know what corporate sources are of value. When it comes to external sources, our approach is to work with the trusted sources. I talked earlier about thousands and thousands of external sources available, but the reality is, like you said, there are a lot of them that are not that interesting or not that valuable or have junk in it. And so what is also happening is that the ones of value are starting to bubble to the top, and there are a large collection of trusted sources that most companies are gravitating towards. And those are the ones that we, for instance, focus on where we remove the complexity from you having to know how to get to each of these and each of the unique APIs, etc., and bringing those to surface so that you can converge that with your private data sources. That landscape, will continue to change, but the key is to, as a company and as a story, our job is to surface to you the ones that are of value so that you're actually working with trusted sources versus ones that may not be as high quality.
So one last question from me, and then we'll be done to you guys.